Hello and welcome to this video series where I will be teaching you Python fundamentals. So in this series we're going to be going through the absolute basics of Python, and we're going to be learning about things like printing to the screen, getting user input, if statements, while loops, for loops, arrays, and much more. So if none of that made sense, then that's okay, because this series is targeted at absolute beginners. So if you're somebody who has never coded before, or maybe you've had a little bit of experience coding, then this series will be perfect for you. And in this series, I'll be making the lessons as interactive as possible. I'll be asking you questions and giving you exercises to solve. And this series will be quite different to a lot of other series on YouTube where you just watch the person code and you hope that you can memorize it somehow. So this series will be different because you will have to code and solve the problems yourself. And of course, I will be giving you model solutions at the end, which you can compare your answers to and see how you did. So to get started, we're going to be doing something very simple today, which is just printing to the screen. But before we get started, we need to make sure you have an IDE, which is basically a software where you can code on. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use whatever IDE you want, but if you're not really sure, just use Visual Studio Code. I'll leave a link to that in the description below for you to download. And once you've done that, you should see a screen which looks something like this. And to get started, we're just going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it printing.py. So you can call it whatever you want, but make sure you have .py at the end, and that just tells Visual Studio Code that it is a Python file. And I'm going to go in full screen. So to do that, I'm going to hit Ctrl-Shift-P, and I'm going to type in Zen and hit enter. So to print something in Python is really simple. All you do is type print. I'll just make this a bit bigger. So print and use parentheses and also double quotes. So inside these double quotes, you can put whatever text you want. So I'll just go with the classic hello world. And let's see what we get as our output. So yeah, there we go. As expected, we got hello world. So the key thing is to remember is do not forget these brackets or quotation marks, because as you can see, if I do forget the bracket or quotation marks, then Python will complain, and it will say that there's an error. So we can print whatever we want. So I can write my name is Bruce Wayne, and I can print that as well. And there we go. So we have just printed some strings. So strings in Python are basically a sequence of characters. So if I use these quotation marks, it tells Python that we're going to be entering a string. So even if I write something like that number there, it is still considered as a string because we have double quotation marks. So even though it is a number, it is still considered a string because we have the double quotation marks. So if I want to write as an integer, then I'll just leave off the strings, and there we go. 3,232 is just an integer. So let's have a go at an exercise. So I said I was going to give you guys some interactive exercises. So the first exercise that you will be completing in this tutorial series is writing your initials using what we have just learned about print. So as you can see here, I have the initials for Bruce Wayne. So B and W. So as you can see, I made a large B out of little b's, and I also made a large W out of little w's, and I've also left 2 blank lines in the middle. So if you're confident on how to get started with this, then feel free to pause the video at this point and give it a go. But if not, then keep watching, and I'll start solving. I'll start coding how I would do it for Bruce Wayne, and that will give you an idea on how to get started. So let's go back to full screen, Ctrl-Shift-P, Zen, enter. Okay, so for Bruce Wayne, I'm going to just use print. And as you can see here, I want a straight line full of B's for the top part of the B. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to keep coding line by line and just slowly forming the B. So there we go. Let's keep going. So if you have an idea now on how to get started, then feel free to give it a go. but at this point I will speed up the video. Okay, and there we have it. So that's my initials done. So I'm going to hit run and we should get BW. So let's see what we get as our output. So as you can see, we do get BW, but we do not have the blank lines in the middle here. So to add in the blank lines, we simply write print, and instead of putting some text inside the quotation marks, we'll just leave it blank. So I'll do 2 blank lines. So write print twice, and let's run that again. And there you go. As we can see, we have the blank lines and the initials. And that's going to be it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.